civic engagement. It's the second year that I've taught the course, and the second year that the course has been offered, and also the second year that the course has culminated with this presentation of our students. Now, the purpose of the course is to look at the function of communications in relation to civic engagement at the local, regional, and national level. And really what we've done is we've tried to place the students in a situation where they can draw on their own experiences and their values through a series of assessments, through feedback and reflection, and so that they have, before we even get started in the content, they have a really good idea of who they are, what they value, and how they would like to grow throughout the semester. As you can imagine, and there's a couple of our folks who were in the class last year, this is quite a nervous few minutes right now before getting up to present in front of all of you, so thank you for coming. So once they have that idea of who they are, I think it's really important that they have a pretty good foundation and an idea of the environment that they're going to work in. So we delve into key issues like privilege and power, race and justice, so that when they are choosing an organization that not only matches their values, they're choosing an organization that will also have a really substantial impact in their community. But that's just getting started. One of the fundamental premises is for our students to be able to work in an environment of complementarity. And that is so that you have extremes. You have conflicting ideas that are the real drivers of significant creativity, not just a lot of people that think alike. One of the myths that we try to bust is that harmony drives creativity when that really isn't the case. And in order to do that, you have to be very aware of yourself, and you have to be comfortable being able to talk to people who don't come from the same place that you do, who've had different experiences that you do, and have radically different points of view. We prepare the students, we hope, by training them not only to provide feedback, which is training that we've all had, but also to be able to seek out and to receive feedback as well, which is very important for the growth process. This is in fact a communications course, so the students take on those values and they present a story of self that evolves into a story of us. And then when there is urgency and there is an organization, and what you will see today is an urgent story of now. And then the second half of the course, we actually talk about doing the TED Talk, which is what you're going to see today. Not only have they been going through the process of putting this talk together, but we also think it's important that the students can put together an event like this, so that when there are a series of ideas, when there are people that have something to say, that they can create an audience. So the social media, the program, the logistics, the political, the press release, all of the work that's gone out has been done by the students. So not only are they presenting their talks, they are presenting this event to you. I'm just very fortunate that I get a really good seat to be able to watch it. So the run of the show tonight will be talking about the course. We also want to make sure that you know that through somewhat good fortune, this is also the kickoff to the Alumni Office's Temple Global Days of Service, which is a week-long event to engage students and alumni from around the world to be able to facilitate and to participate in significant change in their communities. You can follow us on social media. Tonight's proceedings will be going out live on Facebook and will be on the Facebook page for eternity, or at least as long as there's Facebook. Those of you that are taking pictures, and we would welcome you to do that, we would welcome you to post and attach your pictures to the students' event page and our page. You can use the hashtag TempleGDS. Our first presenter tonight, Hafiza Bishi, is a current first-year student in communication and social influence. Her presentation, Malika, the Angel for Muslim Women, is going to highlight the difficulties Muslim women face in a Western society and how this small yet mighty initiative designed to combat that is reminding these women that their strength comes from within themselves. Stop. You can clap.
Good afternoon. / good evening. I don't know, time. Time is relative. Anyways. So, yeah, I guess I'll just start. So, this is Sundus Muhammad. Sundus is a young Muslim girl living in America. While that might not be as such a great accomplishment to you, it is a very, very strong statement within itself. Sundus, when she goes to airports, she is constantly surveilled, often having to spend hours upon hours in the airport to be checked. When she is in a classroom or in other public settings, there is a lack of effort to include her voice as well as her experiences. Sundus simply walking down the street could be dangerous for her because she chooses to dress modestly and wear a hijab. Sundus, like many other Muslim women, are more likely to be attacked because they are visible. This is her reality. This is my reality. 300. That is the amount of hate crimes that happened against Muslim people in 2017 in America alone. There are 365 days in a year. That means that at least one attack happened each day that year in 2017. And as I just stated, it's only America alone. There are other places where attacks have happened. So this is not an isolated incident. Recently we've had an attack in New Zealand in which a terrorist came into a place of worship where Muslims were and ended up killing 49 people. With that, you would think that there would be a decrease in Islamophobic attacks, but in fact there was an increase. In England, there was a 539% increase in Islamophobic attacks, but you won't see that. Like I said, these are not isolated incidents. This is a reality for many of us. I am a young, black Muslim woman living in America. That statement is a lot. Being the daughter of Nigerian immigrants, I was always told that my faith is my security, to value my faith, to value my safety. My faith would protect me. My faith was something to be proud of. However, in this country and many other places, my faith is scrutinized, my faith is ridiculed, my faith could bring danger to me. But this is where she comes in. This is Rana Abdelhamid. In 2010, at the age of 15, Rana was a victim of a hate crime. A broad-shouldered, tall man came from behind her and grabbed her hijab. Distraught, but empowered by the experience, she decided to start teaching self-defense classes in her neighborhood of Queens in order to young women, both Muslim and non-Muslim, so that way if they were to experience something that she did, they would be equipped with the readiness to combat it. And that is how Malika was born. So I call Malika the angel for Muslim women because Malika lauds itself in the values of faith and safety to provide a space for women, both Muslim and non-Muslim, the ability to be themselves and to learn and to grow from one another, to realize that they have potential within themselves to create changes in their communities, both big and small. I had the pleasure of meeting Rana and her team at the National Muslim Women's Summit at Harvard Kennedy School a couple weeks ago in March. There, I was joined by 49 other Muslim women, and we were able to experience panels and discussions pertaining to our identities as Muslim women and how we can help our communities in different ways. Whether we were artists, poets, law students, med students, community organizers, we all had that same umbrella of being a Muslim woman in a Western society. There was lots of tears, lots of laughter, but there was also a sense of connecting. In those 3 short days, I was able to realize that within myself, I have the ability to make a change despite all the setbacks that come. We are able to discuss the story of self, the story of now, and the story of us. During this summit, something that I've learned from Bill. And with that, we realized that although it is about us, there is a also community sense that we have to recognize in order to truly create change. And what we realized is really going down to the roots of the cause. Bringing people from the inside to help you, not bringing people from the outside in. Making it more personal really helps. We were also able to create a timeline of experiences that shaped our, We were able to create a timeline that shaped our experiences that we have today. Events that happened decades ago affect who I am today. If British imperialism didn't happen in Nigeria, I might not be here today. Things like that all affect us in one way or another. They all create a spiral effect, and they all shape who we are. They all shape our identities, our experiences. Malaka was able to provide this space for all of us, and we need more help in order to provide that space for everyone else. So, the first thing that you can do is bring them into your space. Malaka has workshops for self-defense and healing, amongst other things. They had a financial literacy workshop during the summit, but my crying bank account does not reflect that, so, but they are they're very knowledgeable in what they do, and they're able to bring people from their team to go across the country. So bring them into your spaces. Let people know that they are here to do this work for you, and they will provide the best quality. You can also donate to Malaka. Malaka always wants to accept donations. I mean, like I said, it's money, so everybody loves money. And with that, you're able to help them also continue the Muslim Women's Summit that they provided for me, to continue to do these workshops that they do for many, many Muslim women all across the nation. And finally, you can share. You can follow them on Twitter and on Instagram at We Are Malaka. Social media and word of mouth can do a lot these days. You see one tweet, it can go viral in seconds. I believe that sharing this will provide an opportunity for other Muslim women who may not know that this resource is there for them to go and find it. If I didn't find out through word of mouth from a friend that Malaka existed for me, I wouldn't have been able to experience the summit that I went to. I wouldn't have been able to make such amazing friends and connections that weekend. So I urge you to help us out in that way as well. Thank you.
So, before we introduce our next speaker, I'll give you a little bit of an idea. There's always the question as to how are we going to engage the speakers with the audience afterwards. And so what we're going to do, since there's 5 short talks tonight, we invite you to stay for the talks, and then we invite you to stay afterwards. There'll be refreshments and a reception afterwards. You'll be able to talk with the speakers, ask them questions, and learn more about how you can get engaged with all the very meaningful organizations and movements that they're representing here this evening. Gianna Caruso is our second speaker. She's a junior here at Temple, majoring in communication and social influence. Her presentation, The Freedom to Live, Elevating the Voices of People with Disabilities, will focus on some of the institutional challenges that those people with disabilities face.
Can everybody hear me? Hello, my name is Gianna Caruso, and as Sia stated, I am a communication and social influence major here at Temple University. Before I start, I would like to ask a quick question. How many of you here have or know somebody with a disability? Well, in 2001, my mother was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease that attacks the central nervous system. I was born in 1999, which means I've had that sentence memorized since I was in the 5th grade. It also means that I've watched my mom's disease progress throughout my entire life. Which means I've watched my mom's disease progress throughout my entire life. But my mom was always open with us. She was, my siblings and I, she was always open with us about her health. So when she went to the hospital, we knew why. When she started to take injections, we knew why. When she could no longer walk, and when she started to use a wheelchair, we knew why. But my mom is strong. My mom is strong and she is stubborn. And no way was she going to let MS prevent her from giving us the best life that we could. It also wasn't going to get in the way of her putting the fear of God into us every time we rolled our eyes a little too hard. But I continue. But strong and stubborn isn't all that my mom is. My mom is my hero, and she's taught me so many things. She's taught me to be confident in what I do. She's taught me to teach people with respect. She's taught me to treat them with fairness. And most importantly, she's taught me the importance of compassion. Because disability doesn't discriminate, but society does. And I know that I don't want anyone I love to feel like they are a burden, like they are less because of something that is out of their control. Unfortunately, within the past few years, there has been a setback in disability rights. And we don't often realize how many people this affects. 1 in 8 people suffer from some form of disability, whether it be mental, speech, physical. There are so many different types of disabilities. They are not uncommon and they are not rare. And as I've said, these setbacks are affecting many of us. In 2017, congressional Republicans passed H.R. 620. H.R. 620 is an act that undermines the American with Disabilities Act, an act that prohibits the discrimination of people with disabilities. H.R. 620 makes it so that you can no longer force certain institutions to provide accessibility. In 2017, Betsy DeVos rescinded 72 acts from the Americans with Disability Acts pertaining to children with disabilities. In 2017, former Attorney General Jeff Sessions removes another 25 guidelines from the American with Disabilities Act. Removing these 25 guidelines undermines Obama-era legislation which prevents segregation of people with disabilities in workplaces and in day programs. In 2018, the federal tax bill cut funding from Medicaid, Medicare, and supplemental income. 80% of those benefits go to people with disabilities. In 2019, Betsy DeVos tries to cut $18 million from the Special Olympics. In 2019, Donald Trump's administration proposes the surveillance of the social media accounts of supplemental income recipients to determine whether or not they really deserve benefits, to determine their necessity for benefits. It is not an exaggeration to say that people's lives and liberties are at risk. I believe that it is important to start local. It is important to start small and work your way up, which is why I've decided to support Disability Rights Pennsylvania. Disability Rights Pennsylvania is an organization that advocates for the rights of people with disabilities so that they may live the lives they choose, free from abuse, neglect, and segregation. Most recently, they have obtained a consent decree from federal courts which requires Upper Dublin Middle School to provide accessibility for a child with a wheelchair. Organizations like Disability Rights Pennsylvania do wonders for people with disabilities. And there are a few ways to help them. The first thing you can do is donate. I know it sounds like I'm kicking a dead horse, but donations are extremely important. These companies, these organizations are funded almost entirely on donations from donors big and small. Every dollar counts. The next thing you can do is vote. It may not be as direct as donating to Disability Rights Pennsylvania. However, who you vote into power can make a difference. We as individuals, we as citizens, may not always have the legislative power to pass something meaningful, but the people we put into power do. And if neither of those options interest you, then all I ask is that you listen. You listen to the people that are trying to survive in a society that is constantly putting them down. You listen to the people that are crying out for equality, that are crying out for a better life. You listen to the people that just want to live the lives they choose, not the ones society deems they deserve. Listen to them. Do not speak over them. Do not drown their voices. Thank you. My name is Gianna Caruso.
You did it official.
Hello, hello, hello.
Christina Stevens is a sophomore, also a communication and social influence major. She's a singer-songwriter. She is the artist in our classroom. In her talk, Finishing Our Work, she will honor the Black community's continued fight to prevail over systematic racism and oppression, and how her work aligns with Black Lives Matter.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina Stevens. I'm a sophomore here at Temple University. I'm from Miami, Florida, which could be seen as an ethnic melting pot, as they would say. But if I look back in my childhood, if I look back at this 10-year-old, I always wish that there was more spaces that were more critical in aiding me and telling me the significance of my identity, in particular my race, and how significant this role is to my life as a young Black girl at the time, but also as a young Black woman in America. And what did that play in the significance of history and future, and of course, again, present. Now, and a few years after this photo was taken, I would learn the names of brothers and sisters like Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, Rekia Boyd. I was introduced to these names in a way that I would not want to be introduced to anyone, and that's in the name of death, targeted death. Death that had no justice, that reaped no answers, that left plenty of families in stillness of grief and feeling helpless. As a youth, I felt helpless, watching these injustices happen, not fully, completely understanding them, but knowing that I wanted to do something about it. And what would that look like? Also, while these names were being introduced to me, the rise of Black Lives Matter was my wake-up call. It was the thing that cued my consciousnness to inquire about the knowledge and the historical knowledge of my people, of my ancestors, away from a history classroom. What did things really look like? What would their lives really look like? And what was the fight that they've had to prevail against? So Black Lives Matter made me inquire about the lives of Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, Medgar Evers, Emmett Till. All the names that we've probably heard before, and I got to really dig deep and figure out why they were so significant, why their fight was significant, and why they were important to look towards as I continue my journey as an activist, as an artist. I then began to learn about things about the start of the mass incarceration system that began shortly after the time of enslavement. Then we go on to see things like the war on drugs. And after the war on drugs, we see things like redlining. And now I can stand here and state to you that African Americans and Hispanics make up 32% of our population, but somehow make up 52% of the prison's population currently. A disproportion that just seems continually agenda-based. It is there for a reason. Now, as my professor stated, I'm an artist. I'm a singer, songwriter, and poet, and I've always seen my activism to work through my art. Now, there's been plenty of artists that I've seen also use their activism and use it through the vessel of their art. One that I would like to highlight and that we recently lost, his name was Nipsey Hussle, also known as Ermias Asghedom. Now, Ermias Asghedom was born and raised in Crenshaw, South Central side of Los Angeles, was a hip-hop pioneer, was a philanthropist, and also an activist, a community hero, a beacon of light, someone that I might highlight to be something like our modern-day Martin Luther King or our modern-day Malcolm X. It was the summer of 2010. I was that little girl like you saw in the picture. I saw his music video for the first time where he was speaking about sleeping on the floor, speaking about his awareness under the pressure of a system that did not want to see his people and his success. But moving forward, and with over a span of 10 years, Ermias Asghedam and his brother Samuel would flourish a community of Crenshaw and Slauson would be a beacon of light for fellow activists and young black youth. I would like to highlight some of the things that Nipsey Hussle did within his short lifespan. Now, it is said that Ermias Asghedam affected over 41,000 lives, and that is through hiring people, assisting them, and donating to different organizations within the community, and also rebuilding and helping felons rebuild their lives as the system does not see a future or a betterment for them. He opened a co-work space called Vector 90, which took influencers and innovators in his community of Crenshaw and Slauson and gave them a space to build, to collaborate, and to utilize their ideas and say, hey, your ideas, your vision, it matters. It will see through. He also created a STEM program space in Crenshaw and Slauson that allowed the black youth to come in and have the same opportunities that were given in the city of Los Angeles that often were taken by privileged non-African American children. And these are just small things, and can be seen as just small things, but over a time span in such a life of 33 years, he showed us that all these things were possible, that the divinity of the black community has been alive since the time of enslavement, but our system has continued to try to suppress us, but that we will continue to prevail with our brilliance, with our divinity. Now, like I said, as an artist, I plan to do some of the same things, taking whatever individual wealth and knowledge I have and giving it back, and educating to young black youth, but also to people like you here today. So, I want to say that I'm invested as an activist and an artist to do my work to dismantle the arch of white supremacy and how it has been used to suppress our people, my people, and has been used to suppress other bright thinkers and leaders such as myself. I want to encourage you all also to support that mission in lifting up and showing the divinity, the brilliance that lives in these communities that have been continued to be silenced and suppressed. So what can you guys do today after you leave this room? I would employ you guys to educate yourself, or continue to educate yourself. Right now, I recently got done reading a portion from The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. It's a great text. I implore you guys all to check that out. I encourage you to look after the life of Ermias Asghedam and the other works that he's done, as I couldn't fit them all into this presentation, but I implore you to look at people like him, the communities that he's working in, and be in support of them moving forward.